And we are off.
Well, I believe he doesn't actually play any of the Trash Lanch. Garbo.
Oh, sorry, these are the wrong ones. This is just we're just Garbotoxining here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But oh no, 2 Gliscopod GX hit the bin with Ultra Ball.
Yeah, leaving only one left in his deck. Now
I'm looking to see if he plays any Revitalizer. I don't think so. It's
Rescue
just
Stretcher,
Rescue Stretcher.
anything like that? Interesting. So yeah, Takuya just feels like he has to Ultra Ball away those main attacking Pokemon that he's got here and see what he can put together. See the nice Japanese cards there with the silver border.
That I wish we could still play.
I'm personally a big fan. And on over on Diego's side, we see Vulpix, which has kind of been an interesting thing to look at of all the Gardevoir GX decks, whether they're going to play Vulpix, Diancie, anything like that.
Yeah, he actually chooses to play both. He couldn't decide.
Yeah, he doesn't. He does have both. Interesting. They're the kind of Pokemon you want to start with. You want to use them to kind of get all your pieces together. And it's interesting that he's decided to go with both. I think I've seen more Vulpix overall, but we've seen a nice even split.
Yeah, and there's the Wonder Tag from the Tapu Lele GX getting the Professor Sycamore. And I believe Takuya has 2 Float Stones in hand, which is pretty good. He'll be able to play both of those before he has to discard his hand. It's still unfortunate that we see 2 of the Gliscopods hit the bin right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting that he didn't value, or I guess it doesn't actually. He just needed to take that Sycamore there, so he just needs to kind of draw as many cards as possible. Hopefully he can get that back. Do you know how many Rescue Stretcher he does play? He plays some amount of them.
I believe it's 2.
Okay, so yeah, he has 2 Rescue Stretchers, so it's not going to be the end of the world. Also, of course, Gliscopod with 210 hit points will take hopefully a few turns knockout, although you never know with the Gardevoir GX deck.
Yeah, the one benefit that he does have in this matchup is Gliscopod's main attack, it just uses 1 energy. And it might take a little bit more for Gardevoir to actually try and knock out a Gliscopod GX in 1 hit.
Yeah, it doesn't. He's definitely not playing into Gardevoir's plan. It looks like he is playing into the Tapu Lele plan, though. Just going to go ahead and promote the Tapu and pass the turn.
All right, we do see an Ultra Ball from Diego. His hand is looking kind of anemic. It's only really the Ultra Ball. He can get Tapu Lele, and then remember, he can always Beacon at the end of his turn. And as long as his opponent doesn't end him, his start will be greatly increased. He already has that rare candy in hand. He can get a Gardevoir GX and play right away next turn.
Yeah, so this is something we've talked about a lot, is kind of the Alolan Vulpix versus Diancie split. Or not even split, just which one you choose to go with. Diancie, of course, evolving your Pokemon that are on the bench. You just search your deck, evolve them straight up. Vulpix letting you have another card. It's letting you search for 2 more cards, but they go into your hand, which means they don't automatically evolve, so you have to play them down manually the next turn, and of course it leaves them vulnerable to end. So it's been interesting to see. We've definitely seen a lot of beacons into, okay, I'm immediately going to end you. The advantage of that is that you aren't committing energy to the Vulpix either, so it's kind of free.
Yeah, exactly. And we do see Ultra Ball for the Tapu Lele. Most likely getting Bridget, I would think, unless he values some draw cards. All right, he's going for that Sycamore. He's like, I don't care about like this double colorless in my hand, rare candy. He just kind of want to match his pace with Takuya.
So he's just gonna go ahead and attach and then draw 7 cards. You can even Rescue Stretcher, just shuffle the Curlia back in, getting a little bit of value there. And then draw a fresh hand of 7.
All right, we might even see a battle of Tapu Lele's energy drive back and forth.
Yeah, thankfully, unlike its predecessor Mewtwo EX, they are not weak to each other.
Yeah, could you imagine if like Tapu Lele did weakness?
I could not. It looks like we're going to see 2 Ralts hitting the board.
Nice, and I think a rare candy and 2 Gardevoirs in his hand.
Wow, yeah.
Or
I think there's 2
no
Versus
Candy,
Seekers,
yeah.
but there are 2 Gardevoirs, so looks like Beacon is going to come online. And here, we'll see if Takuya can end Diego out of this hand, because this is really the power of Beacon here.
Yeah, and we also need to see if he's able to find any Gliscopod too.
He's going to go ahead and take 2 Curlia, taking this opportunity to look through his deck and see what he has prized.
All right, so I know this isn't a matchup we really see that much, but who do you think is favored?
It's interesting because I don't. I mean, so when you get into a deck, a matchup like this, I just have to favor the more kind of inherently powerful deck. However, with that being said, we have seen the Garbodor, which sees Takuya searching out now, is going to play a big role in turning off Gardevoir GX's abilities, which is a part of its power. And like we said earlier, the Golisopod does not play Gardevoir's game. He only attaches 1 energy, ideally. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out with if Golisopod can kind of only play 1 energy, avoid the 1-hit knockouts, constantly keep switching in to first impression. And important to note, we do see the N here, so that beacon is kind of undone, and Diego's hand has changed.
Yeah, and he also, right before the N, attached the grass energy, so now he has the knockout with energy drive against this Alolan Vulpix. He'll be the first to take a prize. Granted, it is a 1 prize active Pokemon, so depending on how the game progresses, it could be for naught.
It looks like Diego...
that hand looks even better than the beacon hand, honestly.
Yeah, he has a pretty reasonable hand here. He does also expect his Vulpix to get knocked out. It would be unfortunate if he drew a less playable hand. I do know that he has no...
Okay, honestly, this hand is so much better than the beacon hand. He has the Versus Seeker still. He has the double Krylia, but he also has the Rare Candy Gardevoir GX and an energy to go with it.
Yeah, he promotes that Ralts, and he is going to... evolve 1 into Curlia.
Wow.
2 into Curlia, and
what
then a Rare Candy.
Hand. Wow.
There's the attachment. Important to note that Gardevoir can attach another energy.
If he gets the Field Blower.
It cannot.
Yeah.
The Gardevoir Toxin is live. So let's have 7 more cards from Diego.
That's insane. So he will need a Field Blower, a Choice Band, and another energy, but I don't think he
doesn't have the energy, sorry. Got a little too overexcited there when I saw the Field Blower and the Choice Band. Of course he has the energy.
Yeah, because right now it's 120 damage, 150 with the Field Blower, but he is missing that basic Fairy energy to attach with Secret Spring if he chooses to Field Blower.
Yeah, you really... Gardevoir is interesting because, so in the history of Garbodor existing, there's been 2 kind of decks that rely on abilities. Either the ones that constantly need abilities every turn, where it's kind of something like an electric deck maybe, where you're trying to constantly use your abilities every single turn. And then there's also been some decks where you just kind of need abilities maybe for 1 or 2 turns. You don't need them consistently. And the Gardevoir deck is kind of an interesting mix of both, because you can't just use it infinitely. You do need it regularly, but if you just have a turn or 2, you can, especially with multiple Gardevoirs in play, you can set yourself up in a good position where from then just attaching manually is fine. You're not discarding your energy with Gardevoir or anything like that.
Yeah, so he decides to save all his resources in his hand. Just go with the Infinite Force for 120. Now it's back on Takuya to try to figure out what to do. He does draw an Ultra Ball that could spell a Golisopod for him.
And importantly, just as I was talking about, we do see Diego not playing that Field Blower, because he's saying, when I play this Field Blower, I want to use more Secret Springs. I want to.
I want 3 Secret Springs.
I want to have. Active. I want to have 3 in play. I want to live the dream.
I want an Octillery Abyssal Hand. I want everything.
Exactly. It's just not the right. Even if he had an energy, I don't think we would see it there, just because Field Blowering does make Takuya reset. Like he has to spend resources to find tools, but I think it's so much better for Diego to wait until he has multiple abilities in play.
All right, Ultra Ball discarding Grass and a Guzma. Looking for Tapu Lele. Can we see another Field Blower on their own Garbodor?
Yeah. We have seen that before. It looks like we're actually going to see it again.
Yeah.
Second time that you and I have casted this exact situation. Field Blower can remove your own tools, and now Takuya has access to abilities.
You have, if you're Diego, you have to just be like, yeah, that's what I want. Come on, keep doing that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, if Takuya doesn't have another tool for a backup or like a replacement, then it could be a huge mistake.
It could really cost me. I have to imagine he has
yeah, I do see the float
tool.
stone in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, both. In fairness, it is a kind of an exciting, weird moment. But in both times that we've seen this, the players have immediately just attached another tool after they use one activation of an ability. Very similar to kind of a la AZ, my own Vileplume, play a bunch of items and then play my Vileplume right back down with Forest of Giant Plants.
All right, playing down his whole hand, discarding 0 cards with Sycamore, drawing a brand new 7.
Yep, and he's Takuya choosing to spread out the energy and the choice band, just kind of saying, I want both of these Pokemon to have value.
Here's a card we don't see that much in Heavy Ball.
Yeah, the 3 retreat cost on Golisopod is going to allow it to be searched up by Heavy Ball.
Actually, walking through earlier, round 1, I saw someone play Heavy Ball, and their opponent was like, is this legal?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You haven't seen it in so long, but yeah, it's still legal.
Yeah, it was played in a few different decks. I remember anything with just a high retreat cost, you usually play it just kind of a free, you know, it's kind of like Level Ball, right? They came out in the same set, I believe, and it was just sort of like the little things take Level Ball, the big things take Heavy Ball.
Yeah, and Heavy Ball being able to search for the Golisopod, and now he will be able to at least do 120 damage with First Impression.
What is the warning? Or what?
Is that an Enhanced Hammer in his hand too?
Insufficient randomization.
Okay. Yes. That's another card that we haven't really seen that much, just because of Trash Lanches, like, taking over the metagame.
Yeah, I mean, so many decks now are just using basic energy, or the ones that are heavily focused on special energy kind of are, you know, maybe something like Vespiquen, right? That gets knocked out very easily. You don't need to remove their energy anyway most of the time.
All right, First Impression, 120 damage on the Gardevoir GX. Back to Diego. We'll see if he decides to use the Field Blower this turn or not.
So we have a second Gardevoir GX. I think that was the top deck for Diego, actually. Pretty keen.
No, it was the energy.
Oh, yeah, right. He didn't have energy before. And there is the Field Blower. Now, Gardevoir Toxin is offline, which means that Diego does have access to his abilities. He is going to need a lot more to threaten a knockout here. You see he just attaches to the Gardevoir on the bench, saying, you know, I'm not going to be able to get a knockout here anyway. I just want to kind of spread out my resources and make sure that I can't be severely punished by one knockout.
And then a Sycamore of his own, but the only really card of note is an Ultra Ball, I believe. He could get Octillery maybe and draw 2 more cards, or even just another Gardevoir.
Looks like that he has Octillery, Diancie, and Gardevoir are the targets. It looks like Octillery is the best play, and it is what he decides to go with. Just
it helps protects against end late game.
Yeah,
as long as there's no tool on that Garboder.
The big thing is you don't need the other Gardevoir right now. You can have the Octillery. You can use it now and later, whereas Gardevoir, you can wait a turn or 2 before getting that online.
All right, here are the 2 cards. The last Field Blower, that'll be very important if Takuya can get another Floatstone on that Garboder. And here we see Infinite Force for 90 damage, thanks to the Choice Band. And it's back on Takuya. Acerola, a card that is very good from the new set, but kind of underrated in play.
Yeah, I mean, this is Acerola is one of the things that makes the Golisopod deck pretty powerful. If he wants to, Takuya can go ahead and Acerola up that Golisopod, and he gets the energy and the Golisopod back and just play it right back down.
Yeah, it's essentially a free way to retreat while also healing your main attacker. And in a deck that you only play 1 energy attackers, it's pretty great.
Well, and it also allows the Golisopod's First Impression to trigger, right? Because he can Acerola it up, send up the Tapu Lele. He's actually choosing to just Acerola the Tapu Lele,
which also is another great interaction. Like, oh, I'll get this back. I can get a supporter card for next turn, and all this energy. And oh, the Floatstone was on it too. So, guess who's back?
Yeah, exactly.
And we actually see that Enhanced Hammer can come in big, getting rid of either the Wonder Energy or the double colorless on Diego's side of the field.
Yeah, Wonder Energy, interesting. You know, you want to make sure that you sequence your attachments correctly, where you use the Gardevoir's ability first. If you're touching a basic fairy, just so you can attach the Wonder Energy per turn.
And we actually see the double colorless go down on the active Glycopod. Could we see a crossing cut GX 150 and switch Glycopod to the bench?
Yep.
And we do.
That's what we're saying. We're going to get a knockout. Takuya is going to go down to 3 prizes remaining. That Gardevoir was not kind of the main one that Diego was focusing on, but obviously going down to 3 prizes, Diego hasn't taken any. All the Glycopod is fully safely on the bench, and of course Garbotoxin is up.
Man, I'm loving this Glycopod deck. I don't know. I inherently liked it as a card when it first got revealed, but seeing this deck in action, it's pretty sweet.
Versus Seeker for Guzma is going to go ahead and target down that Glycopod, and it looks like Diego will be getting the knockout here.
Infinite Force is just such a strong attack.
Yeah, especially you know, Takuya rather committed the double colorless too. Diego just looks like he's doing some math, just making sure how the numbers line up. There's a double colorless on the Gardevoir GX. It's going to do a massive amount of damage and take 2 prizes. Diego's first 2 of the game.
All right, let's see what Takuya can do. 3 Glycopod are in the discard.
Yeah, I was going to say, interestingly enough, there are 3 in the discard, so he needs a way to get them back. He does have the teammate, so I imagine that he'll find him a rescue stretcher.
He could be cute and get Rescue Stretcher and an Ultra Ball just so he gets all 3 in there and still the Glycopod.
Right.
But it looks like Guzma is one of the cards along with Rescue Stretcher.
His hand is kind of forced to take Rescue Stretcher there, or else he just really can't do anything. And then Guzma is just kind of a next turn insurance.
Oh yeah, a thing to note, there's only 3 Glycopod in his deck, so Rescue Stretcher is it.
Yeah, all 3 were in the discard pile. An unfortunate side effect of having to discard 2 on the very first turn.
Man, that makes that first turn even harder to do.
And as we said, Rescue Stretcher, just getting back 1 Pokemon. There's an attachment.
And there the Enhanced Hammer. He's been holding it for a while, waiting for the right time to play it. And he gets a double colorless off of the Gardevoir GX. And now, first impression, 120 damage. Action is back on Diego to see what he can do.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot more than he has here to end up getting a knockout on this Glycopod.
If he tries to retreat and bide some time, well, the thing he doesn't know is, well, Goose was in Takuya's hand. And I love that flavor and interaction between Guzma and Glycopod. If you guys ever played the Sun and Moon games, Glycopod is Guzma's Pokemon. And they work perfectly together with first impression.
Just like we wrote it up.
Yeah.
And there is a second Gardevoir GX hitting the bench for Diego.
Now, like I said before, that Field Blower is still in his hand. It is his last one, though. So he's going to have to make it count.
I apologize, but I
and he was just searching his deck, seeing exactly what he had left. And there is the Field Blower, which is huge here because... oh, he's just saying how many cards are in his hand. Huge here because in order to get the knockout, he will need to use both Secret Spring activations.
Yeah, so this is the decision he has to make. He can choose to N, take away Takuya's giant hand, or he can Sycamore. But wow, Abyssal Hand gets both of the energy he needs.
All right, there we go. 2 activations of Secret Spring.
And now he can Versus Seeker for the N, not have to worry about if he can hit the fairy energies or not from the top of the deck. What a turn from Diego.
Yep, that is a big game. Diego is going to be able to end himself to 4, whereas Takuya only goes to 3, and then take 2 prizes here, meaning just 1 more EX or GX knockout. We will seal the deal for him. That's always exactly what you want, is you want to play the N at kind of the last possible moment when you're about to take prizes. That's always the perfect way to play it.
Yeah, because really it's not an end to 4, it's an end to 6 because you're going to get 2.
Right, and it's just the ends are losing value as time goes on.
And wow, getting the knockout here forces Takuya to try to find the Rescue Stretcher again, and hopefully, I don't even know how many Floatstones he has left. There's 3. I believe 3's in the discard.
Well, he also has to rebuild Glycopod because remember, those are all in discard pile as well.
Yeah, so he definitely needs the rescue structure too. And he attaches the double colorless to the Tapu Lele. Thankfully, with all the energy on the Gardevoir GX, Tapu Lele is a pretty good attacker.
Yeah, it is going to be able to get a knockout here.
A second Garbodor doesn't really do much, especially with no tools in his hand.
Yeah, redundant copy anyway.
How many hands? Okay.
And now we're about to see an energy drive. I think there was a bunch of VS Seekers in Takuya's hand.
Now, I'm looking through Diego's list. Sometimes they play Fisherman.
Sorry.
I don't think I see it.
Yeah, no Fisherman. He does have a Super Rod. It's kind of acting as a Fisherman stand-in.
And he has 2 energy and a double colorless in hand. He is almost... Oh, no, the Gardevoir's getting knocked out. I was about to say he has game in hand, but he would need a choice band instead of the 3rd energy.
Yeah, this Gardevoir is not long for this world.
Takuya wanting to make sure he's done everything possible he can before he signs away this turn. And wow, no! He's like, he has to have it, right? So I'm going to retreat, not even take the knockout.
And there's no Garbotoxin in play, so we're just going to see...
Man, that's a risky play.
We are going to see Diego be able to do whatever he wants here. With full access to his abilities, that big Gardevoir GX still up there.
Man, this game has gone back and forth, but I think Takuya was just scared. He's like, he has to have it. He has a lot of cards in hand.
There's a Super Rod, like we were just saying, Super Rod. A lot of these decks play Fisherman and just kind of get the energy back because you are expending a lot, but he chooses to just Super Rod.
But now, yeah, with that second Secret Spring, he's fully charged that Gardevoir GX on the bench. Abyssal Hand drawing 2 more.
Discard pile. Discard pile.
Judges just, I think, making sure the discard piles are visible or
I honestly
laid out
don't...
correctly.
Like, Diego's maybe hoping for a Guzma here, but he's still very far ahead right now.
There is a Tapu Lele Wonder Tag coming into play. You can see the power of
I guess he just gets the
Takuya
Guzma now. Guzma will take the game, bring up Tapu Lele.
Yeah, you can just switch it out, and that is the game. Diego Cassiraga winning an interesting game 1. It was interesting because we saw the Glycopod deck kind of sort of do what it wanted to do. It kind of had a few interesting turns where he had to discard the Glycopods early in the game, but there were definitely a few turns where I felt like, okay, Takuya's kind of doing his thing. He's getting there. But the power of Gardevoir GX without an ability stop, without Garbotoxin online is just absurd. You can attach so many energy and do so much damage.
Yeah, Diego hitting those field blowers at the perfect times that he needed them, able to fully capitalize on his abilities, and eventually Takuya just ran out of tools to attach.
Yeah, especially that last turn, not the last turn of the game, but the last field blower that was played by Diego was perfectly timed. Just field blower lets me use Abyssal Hand. I drew the 2 fairy energy I needed.
That was insane.
It was just we saw Diego not play the field blower just to play it one of the early turns, and that's really smart here because, again, the Gardevoir deck wants to have Secret Spring every turn, but it doesn't absolutely need it. There are, especially if you have multiples in play, there are times where you can go field blower. All right, now I have 2 fairy in hand. It's still not perfect because you're going to reset your Garbotoxin, but I am still, this is the perfect time to do it. I'm loading a bunch of energy on the board. Now I can buy enough time.
Yeah, and I have to think Takuya is looking at that last turn of the game, saying, well, maybe I should have gone for it, maybe not. He had the Guzma, so it really just depends. And I think he's definitely hoping for, okay, I don't want to discard 2 Glycopod turn 1 in this game.
Yeah, his start was not ideal at all. He needs to he needs to, like, if he wouldn't have had to spend a lot of resources, like he had to spend a teammate's card on that rescue stretcher to get the Glycopod back.
Yeah.
The one turn it got knocked out, so that was definitely he immediately started this game off on the back foot. But players are getting set up. Takuya will be able to go first, so let's see what he can put together here.
All right,
Looks
here's
like
the Tapu
Diego may have
Lele
a
in hand.
mulligan.
Sorry? I got mulligan.
Yeah, so just revealing his mulligan. Nothing too special here. Nothing that Takuya doesn't know about. All these cards have been shown. I think maybe
Acerola.
Maybe not the Acerola.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he actually.
Which is actually very important in a deck of Takuya's where you don't really take things in one-hit knockouts. You 120, 120, 120.
Yeah, exactly. Especially against the big hit points of Gardevoir, and especially with you know, the interaction of, you know, Acerola lets you keep all the cards attached, so you can go Acerola. All right, well, I'm gonna put all his energy back in my hand, and then Secret Spring them back down.
Yeah, it's like you didn't even do anything.
Right. And 7 cards.
Wow. Ooh. I'm liking this hand from Diego.
Yeah,
Danchi start, Ralts, Ultra Ball. He could get Lele and a Bridget. And he's going second, so he can attack.
Yeah, let's look at the prices. 2 Sycamore and a Versus Seeker. So that's pretty unfortunate, but nothing too huge. 3 Trubbish.
That's all the Trubbish. There's no Garbotoxin for early game for Takuya. I have to think that's going to really hurt him.
Wow, yeah, the only times that Diego really struggled in that game, mind you, Takuya did have the slow start, was when the Garbotoxin was online. So, wow, prizing all 3 of his Trubbish.
This
bridge is going to be so punishing.
Oh, poor Takuya. He's like, okay, I'm going to get my my Wimpod. All right, 2 Trub. Oh, no. I can't get 2 Trubbish.
Looking through again, just making sure.
Oh, how heartbreaking. He's pulling all his psychic Pokemon up, and there is no Trubbish. He's like, hold on, I need to think.
Well, yeah, let me look at my
Let
hand.
me go back in the
forgot
tank.
One. Wow.
Oh,
We've seen this
man.
sort of thing happen before. Remember John Kettler famously prizing 3 Rowlets.
He's never going to live that down.
At least he had 4. At least he had
never
1
going to live that down.
No, of course not. I should always remember switching to the face cam and seeing John like, ugh, looking at his deck.
All right.
So yeah, wow,
That's
this is
so heartbreaking. I guess you have to go to Wimpod and a Tapu Koko.
That's really the only option you have. You know, you're not gonna. You might as well play the Tapu Koko.
I want to know how happy Diego is right now. He's like, wait, you didn't get a Trubbish? All right, this is great.
Oh, something's up. Like something's wrong. Did you prize all of them?
Man, this is going to be a rough start for Takuya.
It just has to just retreat into the Tapu Koko and
no energy either.
Has nothing. Just pass the turn. He has supporters for next turn, but without the Garbodor, he just can't do anything. Yeah, chat calling that the Kettler special, prizing all your basics.
Oh man!
All right, so
Ultra Ball most likely getting the Tapu Lele.
Yeah, this is. We actually didn't see Diego go for this start last turn, but I have to imagine as long as he has everything he needs, which I didn't see an energy in his hand. I'm very well
There's
may have
energy
missed
in
it.
his hand, yeah.
He wants to, because he has a Diancie, he just wants to fill his board with as many Pokemon as possible. So a very common play is Wonder Tag into Bridget, which is what we're going to see him do.
Yeah, his hand is insane by like the smallest definitions because he has another Ultra Ball for Tapu Lele next turn to get a Sycamore if he wants to. And so the Bridget gets Ralts, energy on the Diancie, Sparkling Wish. It's just all you can ask for.
And this is always something I've kind of liked in the Pokemon trading card game is things like, so if he's going to commit an energy to Sparkling Wish, which makes it, you know, it's not free like Beacon is. However, everything that's happening is just on the board, right? He's going to be able to just put a Kirlia onto the board. He's not going to have to worry about it. His hand's not affected. I remember that was something when Virizion EX and Genesect EX first came out. It always kind of felt really good to just go, all right, Emerald Slash, I'm putting everything on the board. You know, I'm not worried about my hand. I just have all of this and me. I don't care. I just have 8 energy on the board.
Yeah, the joke was Virizion Genesect, all you need is 2 energy. You don't even care about the rest of your hand.
Right, exactly. So we are We do see those 3 basics hit the bench, and I believe we're going to see a Sparkling Wish here.
He could even get the Octillery if he wants to, but Curly is definitely the better option.
Yeah,
especially with the Ultra Ball in hand.
Yeah, you need to have the stage 1s out. Octillery draws you cards, of course, but that can be found and evolved into next turn.
Yeah, he can be an Ultra Ball for the Octillery next turn and draw 5 cards.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to take something really special for Takuya to pull this one out here. I do think a Trubbish was his first prize.
Yeah.
I don't know how he draws his prizes. I wasn't paying attention in game 1, but if he draws them like most players do, I think if he can take a single knockout, he'll be okay. So he could be looking for just the Golisopod, take a knockout on Diancie here, and then play a Trubbish. But even then, that's only 1, and Diego knows something's up. Like, if you're Diego, you know that they're all prized. Like, you don't bridge it for none of them.
And wow, Takuya doesn't even have the grass energy. He's hoping to draw it off this end to even have a chance to get a Trubbish.
It looks like he does play 6 grass energy, so not actually the highest number that he could very easily miss here.
Man, what a rough
If he misses
start
here,
for
that's
Takuya.
just...
I think he's too far gone, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it'll depend on what's in Diego's hand after the end, but he's already so far behind, and his only hope, in my opinion, is to get this Trubbish and start establishing some sort of a board state.
Yeah, and like with most stage 2 decks, if you give them enough time to set up, they'll punish you for it. But
all right,
there's the grass.
So he does have the grass energy. I also see that he has a Garbodor in his hand, and he does not draw.
Oh, no. How heartbreaking.
So he had a 50-50 shot, and he missed. When he does take his next prize, it looks like he'll take it. But pretty unfortunate there for Takuya.
There's a field blower knocking the float zone, and we see Diego. Those field blowers were gold last game. You're like, I don't want to play this early. Now it's like, I don't even have to worry about Garbodor for at least 2 turns.
Right. He'll know. Diego will know whether or not Takuya drew the Trubbish off the prizes immediately.
Yeah.
Because he will just play it onto the bench, and if he doesn't, he'll know that it's still in there. And he knows that the with every prize taken, the likelihood of Takuya drawing Trubbish off the prizes is bigger and bigger. But he just knows that he still has to evolve it. It takes another turn.
All right, and here's another Ultra Ball. Most likely getting that Octillery with Abyssal Hand. Such a great card for being a non-2 prize setup Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, just consistently allowing you to draw back up to 5 cards. He's drawing a perfect 5 here, so Diego just straight up evolving, playing the Curly, and now he gets to draw 5 cards.
Discard pile.
And remember, one thing that Diego didn't even have to use last game was Twilight GX. If he feels the need to, he can put back those field blowers. He can put back energy that he's had to retreat and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like a fine hand for the future turns, but not a whole lot that Diego can really do here.
Yeah, he was looking for a few basic fairy energies to at least Secret Spring once.
Just got double colorless versus Seeker, rare candy. Nothing he can really do. Oh, does he have Super Rod as well?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, I must have missed that. Yeah, so he can choose to shuffle those cards back in. You see that Gallade there, a card that we've seen in every Gardevoir deck, basically. Just, it costs so little to just play that Gallade, and it's so good. Premonition, letting you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and rearrange them, combines very, very well with Abyssal Hand. And then, of course, Sensitive Blade, too, is just a fine attack, especially versus things that are fighting weak, like a pretty popular Pokemon by the name of Drampa GX.
Yeah, it's a little popular, yeah. But, yeah, we saw that earlier, but I think he really put it back just because in this spot with Octillery on the board, Premonition is the best thing he could be doing. It's like, oh, I'll just pick what I'm going to draw from the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Even if I'm only, drawing 1 or 2 off Abyssal Hand, it's going to be, I'm going to get to basically choose what I draw.
And it looks like a Twilight GX.
Yeah, he's sorting. Diego's sorting his discard pile, making sure he knows exactly what he wants to.
Yeah, I believe the top pile is what he's shuffling back in.
I think the pile on the table is what he's shuffling back in. The pile in his hands is what he's keeping. Yeah. So There is a Twilight GX, very powerful GX attack. We've seen it used a lot versus the Garbodor decks, actually, the Trashalanche Garbodor decks, not the Garbotoxin ones. Just, you know, you can play your items as much as you want. You can play them with Reckless Abandon, and then, I'll just Twilight GX them back into my deck. And now Trashalanche is turned off. We've actually seen multiple times just, Trashalanche took a knockout. Okay, Twilight GX, put all 10 back, or you know, put all of them back, and now you're doing actually 0 damage.
Yeah, this is the first time we've actually seen it used for value.
Yeah, not just to turn off the Garbodors.
All right, there's a Guzma, the perfect flavor. Glycopod coming back out, taking the knockout on the Corellia. It's really all you can do, and there's the Trubbish.
All right.
All right, things might finally start to get going for Takuya. And he's taken 2 prizes. Remember that. Diego's been kind of playing the slow game of Twilight, Sparkling Wish, get set up. But the thing is, he's set up now, so...
yeah, he does need to get more Gardevoirs. Having that Corellia knocked out was unfortunate. Gardevoir is best when you can Secret Spring multiple times, and he's just, you know, it's very likely that this Gardevoir GX will get knocked out. He does need to build up multiple attackers. But Diego has actually fared much better than I thought. Or sorry, Takuya has definitely fared much better than I thought he would, given the prize Trubbishes.
Yeah, if he has access to an Acerola next turn, it could kind of just turn off Diego's full turn this turn. He has the Enhanced Hammer in his hand, could get rid of the double colorless, kind of put him back a little bit from actually taking a one-hit knockout on Glycopod GX. And that's really the whole point of his deck, is like, you can't knock me out in one hit? All right, I'll either bring it back, retreat it, bring up another one. I'll eventually just run you out and do a consistent 120 damage.
Yeah, he's shuffling a full Gardevoir GX evolution line back in with the Rescue Stretcher. He does have the Ralts on the board. So I think he has Gardevoir in his hand too, so he has no rare candy quite yet, but maybe he can find that for the next turn. Abyssal Hand drawing 2 cards.
And he does. So his next turn will be very good. And there's an Infinite Force 150? For 150 damage. Takuya now draws, has an end. There's the Trubbish. Diego now knows what's up.
There's an Acerola.
Acerola right away. Man, I'm loving this deck.
Yeah, this has actually been really interesting to see. We even see that Takuya gets to... He already had the energy attached last turn, so now he kind of has... he will, as long as he can keep Acerola, he will kind of have 2 energy on the board at all times and need to worry about setting things up. Worry a little less about setting things up. Because there's 120 with First Impression.
All right, now Diego draws his card. Field Blower, kind of a card he wants to save for next turn at least. There's the double colorless.
Yeah, doing the math, that will...
Yeah, that'll...
That will give him the
definitely
knockout
be the knockout.
there.
Yeah, perfect knockout.
Exactly. Diego just needed to double check that and make sure. A lot of math going on in this Gardevoir deck.
Looking at his discard, quite a few supporters. Even if he does take the knockout, if Takuya has access to a teammates like in his discard, so if he has the Versus Seeker in hand, it could be pretty good.
I got to imagine that this Versus Seeker is going to find an end here. No reason to discard your Field Blower before you need to. Now that you know your opponent has access to Garbodor, and might as well put your opponent on 4 cards when, you know, if you're... Oh no, he's actually just getting Sycamore, so he is just committing to the Field Blower plan, or to discarding the Field Blower.
Yeah, he really wants to find those 2 basic Fairy energies. He hasn't used Secret Spring yet this turn, but it looks like he only got 1. So he can't use it to his full potential, and we might see a Garbotoxin come out next turn, depending on what Takuya has in his hand.
Yeah, there's a 1 Secret Spring activation and a knockout there. Tapu Koko slots really nicely into this deck, just allowing the free retreat so that First Impression can be turned on as much as possible.
Yeah, you don't have to rely on Floatstone, even though you'll most likely have it in play. Tapu Koko is always going to be there, and it's a not too shabby attacker itself.
Yeah, it's totally fine. I imagine that there are some games where you just can't get the 2-hit knockouts if your opponents are retreating and things like that, and can kind of fit in nicely in those spots.
All right, here is the teammates from the Versus Seeker from Takuya's hand. Let's see what he got. It has to be a Glycopod GX for one of them, right?
Yeah, I don't know the rest of the contents of his hand, but he needs just basically a way to find Glycopod GX, a way to attack. And then probably another supporter if he doesn't have it. It's really hard to say the second card.
The dream would be if he can go like Glycopod, Garbodor, Floatstone. And there's a Floatstone that he got along with the Glycopod, and he has the Garbodor in hand.
Yep, so here we go. So Secret Spring is now turned off. No.
The comeback kid.
Yeah, maybe no Field Blower in hand for Diego. And there's a knockout. Diego with only 2 prizes remaining. And wow, I really thought having those Trubbish prize, especially when Diego didn't find one off the first prize draw, was going to be a big deal. But Takuya's been in control of this game basically the entire time.
Yeah, only 2 prizes remaining.
I guess that just shows the kind of aggression that the powerful Stage 1 decks have, where because he took his knockouts on Kirlia and Diancie, and so it's just kind of like, you know, I'm faster than you, you're more powerful in the late game, but if I can take these early prizes, I can find my Garbodors and really put up a fight, which is exactly what he's done, and now he's just 1 GX knockout away from winning the match, or winning the game, rather.
Yeah, still have a little bit to go for the match, and speaking of, there's just under 9 minutes left to go in the match.
Indeed, time is unfortunately ticking down for these players. So we see a Kirlia hit the board for Diego.
So it might be a little bit before Takuya can kind of close this out. There's the Acerola in Diego's hand. Could play the long game with this Gardevoir GX.
And we just see an Infinite Force for 60 damage there. Not what you want to see, but you really have no other options. You can't Abyssal Hand. You certainly can't Secret Spring. Nothing. And there's a second Trubbish now, just in case.
And yeah, there is the Sycamore. No, like, Guzma double colorless choice band shenanigans to take this game.
I don't think so. We see another Glycopod.
And there is a Floatstone, so he'll be able to retreat and deal 150 damage with First Impression if he chooses to.
Yeah, but that's exactly what he's going to do. 120 plus the 30 off the choice band is 150.
All right, Diego's turn.
Right.
A little over 7 minutes to go.
Yeah, Diego's under a lot of pressure here. Takuya just needs to knock out this Gardevoir to take the game. Looks like
he has to Acerola, right?
Yeah, he's definitely going to Acerola, and it looks like he's also might be considering Gallade, evolving into Gallade here. But no, he just goes ahead and goes with the Gardevoir. Still a more powerful attacker. Only doing 90, unfortunately. And yeah, that was his supporter for the turn, and that's his attack.
Wow, all right. Is there the Guzma in his hand? I see the double colorless. All he would need is Guzma, and then he can use his GX attack to take the knockout on Tapu Lele GX. What does Takuya have? I don't think I see it.
No, I imagine that he would have
slammed it down, not
played
waste
it
time.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just gonna go ahead and attach a double colorless to the active Glycopod.
Yeah, and we still might see the crossing cut GX, but it will unfortunately not be for the game. And Diego will have another turn to try and figure out something to do and a way to survive. He has Rare Candy Gallade in hand.
Yeah, Rare Candy Gallade, he has an N and a Sycamore. So he's, again, on the back foot just every single turn. He had the Acerola last turn that saved him, and now this turn he has ways not to immediately lose, but he doesn't really have many ways to advance his board state under the Garbotoxin lock.
And wow, he's didn't attach the Fairy Energy with Secret Spring to the Gallade, hoping for the double colorless. He did not get punished for it.
Garbotoxin is online.
Oh, that's right,
why.
yeah.
So yeah, he didn't have the option to.
Okay. So luckily he drew the double colorless.
Yeah. So there we go, retreat into the Glade. We're going to see a sensitive Blade for the knockout, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. It puts him down to 3 prizes, but all Takuya needs is to knock out this Gardevoir that has a bunch of damage on it.
Let's see if your boy can show up. Acerola, that's not a Guzma.
It's not your boy, unfortunately, for Takuya.
Man, what is going through his head right now? What is he trying to do? Really, now you're just playing for the tie.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting spot to be in because he's already used his GX. Takuya has already used his GX attack, and he's not going to be able to knock out this Gallade. And the Gallade can be really, really punishing on this GX Pokemon. Would actually put Diego just down to 1 prize remaining if he gets a knockout here. So what was first we thought was going to be really bad for Takuya actually ended up being pretty good for him when he got ahead. But now he really needs to put something together. You know, at any time a Guzma is a live draw does it for him, but you know, he only has a couple more turns to play in this game. And then even if he leaves a non-GX Pokemon up, he will of course, you know, give Diego the opportunity to take a single prize, and then they'd be in the same position where they're both tied at 2 prizes each.
Yeah, and we see the Sycamore discarding the Field Blower, Acerola, and Sycamore from Takuya's hand. He's trying to figure out something for next turn, honestly, because he has no chance of losing this coming turn. So he'll at least have 1 more turn after this. So that's really what you're planning for. But it looks like he drew, what, 3 Ultra Ball off the Sycamore?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the counts are of like how many Versus Seeker and
there's 4 Versus Seeker.
I meant that he has left.
Oh,
Versus Seeker
yeah.
and Guzma he has left. Because I would like to see him just thin his deck out as much. Like play these play these Ultra Balls. Who cares? Like you don't need those anymore. The priority is just making sure that this Golisopod with the Choice Band on it does not get knocked out, and giving yourself the best opportunity to draw Versus Seeker or Guzma.
Well, one thing too is if he saves the Ultra Ball, he can draw it off like an N that Diego might play and get a Tapu Lele, because he left the Garbotoxin active as a sacrificial lamb. So if Diego decides not to play the 2 Guzmas in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, that's Diego has just really been able to stabilize here. I mean, it sounds weird to say stabilize when just a Guzma or a Versus Seeker off the top does it for Takuya, but he's giving himself the best opportunity. Personally, if he has, I know that Diego has played in Acerola, and I'd like to just see that.
He can Versus Seeker Acerola right now.
Yeah, if he Versus Seekers for Acerola,
he's like, where is it? Okay.
Yeah, so now he is just he's using supporters, so he's not gonna be able to do that Guzma, but it doesn't matter. Just take the knockout on the Garbotoxin here on the Garbodor, and he's kind of eliminated Takuya's ability
to win next turn. Well, now he needs 2 knockouts.
Well, he can. Oh no, he has used his GX attack, right? So yeah, he can't. Wow. Sorry, I was thinking that he could Guzma up the Tapu Lele, but he has already used his GX attack.
So he might be forced to try to find a new Golisopod to attack with, in combination with an N or something like that.
All right, there's a knockout. Both players at 2 prizes. Diego, after being down so far this game, might actually take this match 2-0.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Takuya not being able to attack last turn means he still does not have the resources to knock out this Glade in 1 hit.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. He does have access to abilities now. Maybe that will come up, but Takuya definitely...
The rare Ultra Ball, discard 2 Ultra Balls.
Yeah, it's getting rid of all of those Ultra Balls. Not needing them anymore. And again, he is pulling the Tapu Lele to the front, saying, all right, I have access to abilities now. I wonder what this does for me.
Do you even see any supporters in his deck?
I'm not sure. I know there's a lot in his discard pile. I'm sure there are some amount left in his deck.
I'm not sure there are any useful ones, though. It might be like a Guzma.
Right. I mean, he needs... I mean, he could at least Guzma can try to stall for a turn. But he also has to be concerned.
Yeah, I believe Guzma's the only supporter
Oh,
in
it's
his deck.
the only valid target. Okay, well, in that case, I guess he's taking Guzma.
Man, what a game this has been. And time has been called right now.
Yeah, so Takuya will be turned to 0, and then Diego will be turned 1, Takuya will be turned 2, Diego will be turned 3, and then that will be the end of the game. So if, yeah, see the turn die there.
Wow, they actually got the 0 on it now, too.
I like it. So if nothing changes, Diego will actually win this match 1-0 because he is up a game. And if Takuya can manage to win this game, he will be... he'll actually make this match be a draw, as both players will have 1 win.
Yeah, well, as it is right now, there is no way for Takuya to win in 2 turns.
Yeah, I mean, he just has nothing going on. He Acerolas that Golisopod just to try to give him the best chance of not losing here.
Oh, actually, there is a way. All right, so Flying Flip, put 20 everywhere. Tapu Lele has 150 left. First Impression, 120 with the Choice Band. Does 150.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's a very good call. He does have 1 more turn to do that now as we are at turn 1.
But there is the
yeah,
Guzma.
Actually, that's just it.
And that's game. Diego Cassiraga, 5-1 now at the World Championships.
Yeah, just needs
1 win.
1 more win, and he's locked for the top 8.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a well-fought match by Takuya there. We saw... So that match was interesting, right? So game 1, we see Takuya kind of do the things he wants to do, but none of it seems super powerful, right? He gets the...
Then he got kind of conservative toward the end.
Yeah, like he had... game 1, we saw Takuya have to go through a lot of his Glycopods, didn't really have a whole lot going on, kind of had to use a lot of resources just to get them back, and just overall didn't really build up anything. And then, so Diego's up a game at this point. We're thinking, all right, well, you know, we'll see how this goes with Takuya getting to go first. And then all the Trebuchets are prized, which puts Takuya in a pretty bad situation. He just can't play any of his Trebuchets. That's the whole point of the deck. And then he actually manages to draw them off the prizes. He's